Welcome to the Light of Sirio podcast. My name is Dori Fari and I will speak with a realized spiritual master about his views on life and the topic of spirituality.
Hazur Maharaj Sant Ji, you're my Sadgurus, I bow down to you. Hazur Maharaj Sant Ji, you're my Sadgurus, I love you. Hazur Maharaj Sant Ji, you're my Sadgurus, I adore you.
So we are now at episode 7 of season 5, and the last episode we talked about many things with Master Sirio, about the relationship to the Master, what does it mean to have a real deep affinity with our own Master and to deeply absorb the teachings up to the bone marrow, and in order to be able to give it back in our own way, which doesn't mean to modify the teachings, but just to be able to give back the same teachings in our own original way. And you said last time that you would read to us some parts from your diary, because we didn't speak much about the programs which you had with Sant Ji and these other details. So welcome, dear Master.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure always. And so if you have anything to begin with this conversation, you are most welcome. And I'm here to listen to you with many others who are listening to the podcast.
So first of all, I would like to describe how Sant Ji's programs went, what happened, how they were scheduled. So, we used to get up 3 o'clock in the morning. I think there were Sevadas ringing the bell, big bell. Dudum, 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 dudum. So, we would get up. I always got up very easily, because that's what I was doing always anyway, not just at the ashram. I wasn't getting up 3 o'clock at the ashram only. I mean, in Sant Ji ashram during these programs, I was doing it always, so it was no new thing, no different than my usual life. So it was not a sacrifice at all. I can understand if one gets up, let's say 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, and then goes to a program where she has to get up at 3 o'clock, then it's a sacrifice. Then
it's not easy, maybe.
No. It's a difficult training, hard training. So just that makes the program maybe tough. But if you're used to it, then nothing different. So anyway, 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, we were meditating alone in the meditation room. And as I said, these groups were composed up by... it began, first time I went to 20 people, 19, 20 people. Well, I mean, plus Sant Ji and who was translating, we were, some 20. Then by grew 25, 30, 35, 40. By the end, which was in 1989 or 90, I don't remember exactly, maybe 90, when these programs were interrupted, then it grew up to 70 people. So you would be sitting in the meditation room with quite a number of people.
Well, it's quite a crowd, 70 people already.
Yeah, but even 50, it's quite a group. And the room was not very big, it was a bit bigger than this one, maybe double this one. Anyway, 3 to 6, just by ourselves. Sant Ji wouldn't come to meditate with us. It's not like in our programs that I am always present. Always. No, Sant Ji wasn't always present. He didn't come for that meditation. Then we had interruption for an hour in which you could go to the dining room and drink a tea. Usually then I went to rest a bit, half an hour or so. And then I got up and went for the 7 to 8 o'clock meditation in which Sant Ji would be present. I usually began the meditation by repeating the Simran. He wouldn't sing it the way I do it, but he would repeat it 3 times, those words, just verbally like this, and we would repeat it after him. Then he just said, most of the time, he wouldn't give these elaborate discourses that I give. Now, I don't want to say this because I want to emphasize that I do better than he did. He had his own way, I have my own way. His way was that he would say, make your mind quiet, because you can meditate only with a quiet mind. Don't understand meditation to be a burden. Do it with love, because you can please the master only if you do it with love. And it works only if it is done with love. Something like this. Sometimes there will be maybe a few words different, but basically this is what he always said.
Yes, we have this quote written here in a frame in our meditation room.
Yeah, that's what it was. More or less the same, always. Then we sat for an hour. And at the end, he will say, leave off, please. No, I interrupt the meditation by singing the name of... by singing this, I understand it to be the Maha Mantra. These names of the Master Sant Ajaib in different melodies. But he would just say, leave off, please. And then he would just give darshan, look at us a bit, fold his hands, get up and go. Then we had breakfast after 8 o'clock. We had breakfast, and then up to 11 there would be nothing. From 8 to 11 people would take shower, go for a walk in the garden. Just beside the gate, getting out from the gate of the ashram, there would be, the ashram, I mean by this the building area. Then you would go into the garden, which in the beginning were mangoes, very big mango trees.
Oh, beautiful.
And later on, they uprooted all of them. I don't know why, probably the mangoes were not a good business. So they uprooted all of them and they planted lime trees, which is, let's say, like lemon, but it's a smaller kind of lemon. Very, very sour, very concentrated. So there will be these smaller trees of lime or lemon. And we would go into this garden, take walks, sit here and there. Sometimes chat a bit with your friends, if there were any in the groups. And then go back, maybe read something. And anyway, at 11 o'clock, there would be another meditation from 11 to 1, in which we were again alone. Sant Ji wouldn't come for that. And he would hold interviews. And he would start, I think, maybe not right from the first day, but very soon.
Well, for 70 people.
Yes, you have to see all of them. So
yeah, because then, so if you count 5 minutes per person, then
just going up the stairs, getting into the room, sitting there, and then getting out and down the stairs. It would be always some 10 minutes at least for person. But sometimes if the people had questions, important questions about the spiritual life, then it would be more. And I have the privilege of translating for all the Italians in these groups. So I would stay up to half an hour or sometimes an hour also. And it was a very nice time for me, having the possibility to spend this much time near to him, face to face with him. And listen also to the answer that he would give to the people. And there I learned that he wouldn't mix much with the private life of people. You know, there are these gurus, there are so many stories of gurus really trying to control the mind of people and taking charge of all the aspects of their life and giving advices about everything. But he wouldn't do that. So I learned that let people think with their own head. Let them develop their own thinking capacity and decision capacity. And be responsible for what they decide. Learn the lesson from the choices they make in life. Because if the master tells them everything what to do, then if it's good, the result, they will say, oh, great, the master has told me the right thing. But if the result is not good, for some reason, then they will blame the master.
Well, but as we talked about it in the episode about free will, then we know that even if the result doesn't seem good, it's still perfect. Just what we need.
From the point of view of the master, yes, it's always perfect. But from the point of view of the person, the mind, it's very enemy-like. So it tries all possible ways to bring confusion. Anyway, always saw him telling, look, about this you have to think a lot. Think once, twice, 3 times, then decide. And once you decide, you stick to your decision. Don't keep changing. Don't keep modifying things. Once you decide, I'm going to act like this, I'm going to do this, then stick to it. That's what he said most of the time.
Well, I think that's how he was. Because as you describe him, I think he was like this, that once he made a decision, then there was no chance of change. Just as you mentioned about the mango trees. He put the mango trees, then he decided that the mango was no good. They all had to go.
Yes. He was living in Kunishak Ashram, so-called. He, by the order of Master Kirpal, he left Kunishak Ashram, he went to 16 PS. Then at some point he couldn't stay there anymore. He left Kunishak Ashram, Kunishak village, and he went to, he left 16 PS village and he went to Satatararbi village. He built an ashram there, or together with the other satsangis, they built an ashram. And then he decided to go to 16 PS, and he decided things and he did them, and he didn't go back to before, to what was before.
He doesn't seem to me like a person who was just flowing with life. He gives me the impression with a, like when you ride a horse and you hold this horse with a strong hands and you don't leave chance to the horse to to make tricks on you.
Yeah, he was a determined person about anything he did anyway.
And that was his advice also to the people.
Yes.
To be determined, be strong.
Decide and then act, and don't go back. Don't change your mind all the time. Just stick to what you decide and what you choose in life. Anyway, then we had lunch. So Sant Ji came in the dining room and sat beside the people who were distributing the food. We made a line and we went, took the food, then passed by Sant Ji in front of him. Look at his face. He will bow his head to us.
Nod, no?
Nod, yes, he will nod, bowing his head to us, and we did the same to him, and then we went to sit wherever we wanted and have lunch. Well, but of course, most of the people tried to sit very close to where Sant Ji was. So around there, he was very soon occupied and crowded anyway.
Well, it sounds like an emotional moment, not that you
very beautiful moment. That was a very beautiful moment, really.
But also, I imagine from the practical point of view, not that you have your tray, maybe with your meal, and you are very emotional. You're near the master. You look at him, and
maybe
so it's
you throw all the food down the floor.
No, it's also a spiritual teaching, because now the master shows you how to be practical. He said to everybody, be decisive, be determined, be practical. And then you had to be practical, because even though you were facing the master from so near, then you had to be very concentrated on not throwing down your food. So it's a teaching in the teaching.
Yes. So then we had lunch, and during lunch we were we were told that we could talk a bit with each other if we wanted. So silently we would share some few things with our friends like this.
But was Sant Ji staying there while you were eating?
No.
Then he just
as soon as the last person took his food or her food, he would stand up, fold his hands and go. And of course everybody running after him, leaving the trays somewhere on the tables. And they're running after him, watching him going up the stairs. That's how he was,
Sounds interesting. No, because also what I think, not like those who were the first in the queue, then sit down and there is the master and then you eat while others still take the queue, or how is it? And then
No, nobody began eating before he went away.
That's what I was wondering.
We took our place. Mostly we left the tray on some place on the tables, where we choose, and then we would stand there somewhere around, watching people passing by and Sant Ji, giving darshan.
I understand. I was believing somehow, I don't know why, that you were sitting on the ground, like.
No. We were sitting at the table.
Tables.
In the dining room of the Westerners, there were tables. Some people then took their trail and went into the courtyard, the Westerners' courtyard, and see there were benches. Quite a number of benches, so we would sit on the bench outside and eat there also. That was also done by a number of people. Anyway, then 3:30, if I'm not mistaken, either 3 or 3:30 p.m., there will be another meditation with Sant Ji. So, 2 or 2.5 hours after meal, there will be a meditation with Sant Ji again, an hour. So he will come into the meditation room and repeat more or less the same as he was in the morning. Anyway, so meditation for an hour up to 4:30. Then 5:30 we will go in the garden. There was a place where there was set up for Satsang. So there was a small platform built with bricks on which Sant Ji's chair was put. We would sit there in front of him. He would come at some point, sit on his chair, and one day he gave satsang. he chose a hymn, usually either from Swamiji, very often from Swamiji Maharaj. Otherwise would be from Guru Arjan very often. And either Sarbachan or Swamiji Maharaj or Guru Granth Sahib. Most of the time he gave satsang on these poetries. And for an hour, exact.
Oh.
Yes. Then he would stand up, we would make a long queue line there, and he would pass by each one of us. Then he would begin moving towards the ashram, the courtyard, because this was in the garden, as I said.
And what if it was raining, maybe? Was it ever happening that it rained?
Maybe yes, but in that season when we were going, there was no rainy season. Mm-hmm. Because rainy season is usually from June to September. And the groups were from September to April.
I see.
So usually there wouldn't be rain. If there were rain, then we would go into the meditation room, of course. Anyway, so we would walk with him, this big group of people around Sant Ji, going back into the courtyard of the ashram through the gate. And then he would begin climbing the steps, going up his room, his apartment, and we would be looking at him all the time while he was going up. Then reaching up, he would turn and look at all of us, and then he would enter his room. So that was the day was over, more or less, with that. Then in the evening after dinner, most of the time anyway, he would come up on the roof. Because the roof it wasn't like we have it here. It was a terrace, flat,
yes.
in which you can walk. It's not like in the West, these roofs that we have here. It was
like maybe it's called saddle roof, maybe, I don't know, the A shape.
Yeah,
the classical roof-looking roof.
So I would come there and...
that was the top of the house there. No, it's called like this, not a roof.
There was a place where there were a few lamps, electric bulbs. He would sit there and we would sing bhajans, 1 or 2 bhajans.
And where were you? Down?
Down in the courtyard of the western end, no?
And how tall was it? How far was he from you?
Some 3 meters up.
Yeah, so not so far.
No. Buildings.
It's just like a first floor.
3.5 meters tall, no more. So,
well, not even really first floor.
No, we were on the ground and he was up on the first floor, let's say. Mm-hmm. So, and
then you said sometimes that he was the one to choose the singers, wasn't he? That you had to raise your hand if you wanted to sing.
I will go to that. Because, as I said, one day there will be satsang, one day there will be questions and answers, and one day there will be bhajan singing.
Ah, I see.
So when there was the bhajan singing, he would say, those who want to sing, raise your hand.
But that was in the afternoon then from 5:30, right?
5:30 to 6:30.
I see.
So
it was a privilege to sing to him then.
Yes, you have to raise your hand and sing. And he would choose, because it would be everybody almost raising their hand, So you have 40, 50 people that are raising their hands, and you have to choose somebody of these 50. And of course, I think Sant Ji, I suppose, he was choosing those whom he knew they could sing any better,
Well, as you said, that he was a practical person.
And... but then, if during a singing session there would be people singing who were really not good at singing, because I must say, in these groups, not many people were good singers. I can say that few people were good singers, And most of the people were not good singers because maybe they didn't practice enough at home, maybe they didn't have a tuned voice, maybe even whatever.
Well, that most of the time it's like this, that there are very few good singers and there are some average ones, and then there are those terrible ones.
Yes. And especially when there were people from South America, from Colombia, I don't want to blame the Colombians in any way, but I must say most of them were really bad singers. And they were very enthusiastic about singing. Really, they like Latino Americans, they like singing, like Italians anyway. So they would all raise their hand, and even before the person who was singing ended the song, some of them would raise their hand and say, "Choose me," something like this. So Sant Ji was very amused by this, And anyway, if the singing was maybe not very good, not very uplifting because those who sang, they didn't sing very good. So eventually he would choose someone who would be singing very well, and he would say, even if the person didn't raise his or her hand, he would say the name of the person, and he would say, "Okay, you bolo, you sing," And sometimes he did it to me, yes. That at some point during the singing, he said, "Sirio, sing."
Finally.
And so that's how it was.
Then in the evening, when you had this bhajan session, then were you singing together, or was it like a bhajan learning, or what was it in the evening?
In the evening, you mean when Sant Ji came on the roof?
Yes, when he was on the roof.
We would just sing a couple of bhajans, and then he went away, and there would be somebody picking up the singing, spontaneously like this.
Ah, okay, so it was just like...
It wasn't that he would say somebody to sing, or whatever. No, spontaneously some person began to sing. Like this he went.
And then the group singing.
And then the group went together, no?
Mm-hmm.
So that ended the day eventually. He went, after this visit that he gave to us in the evening up on the roof, then he went to give satsang to the Indians. There was a...
And what time was it this hour?
This would be like 8 o'clock when he came to us, and then after this, let's say 10 minutes, no more, 15 minutes maximum, he stayed there.
Ah, okay. I thought that this also lasted longer.
No.
So he just paid a quick visit to you,
yes.
Like maybe 1 or 2 songs maximum.
Like a good night visit, yes. And then he went, again, walking on the roof, he went to the area where there was the Indian satsang room, which was on the other side, the other courtyard. And he gave satsang to them. But the satsang was mostly telling stories, So Sant Ji would tell some few funny stories, and they would all laugh like mad, You could hear from far, They were all laughing like mad. That's how it was.
So I suppose that everybody was so curious what's going on there, and everybody would like to be there to laugh with Sant Ji and with everyone, to be happy.
And I'm sure some people even sneaked inside, to I never did. I never went there. And sometimes people would be those, there were some people who were really Sant Ji's lovers, and they would do anything to see him, to have a glimpse of him. So they would wait in the courtyard down, that he would come out from the satsang room with the Indians and walk to go back to his room, and again, have darshan with him like this.
Yeah.
That's how it was.
Well, that's nice. Must have been very exhausting though for Sant Ji, like all these eyes all the time looking at him. So I can understand him somehow to, as you describe him, also to be kind of detached with the people, because it's how to say, like exhausting, no? Like demanding, very demanding.
Sucking up energy like anything, Demanding, really, very demanding. And so that's how it went. And at the end, there would be In the beginning, these programs were lasting 10, and on the 11th days we will be leaving. On the 11th day, yes. And then it will last 7 days later on.
So then you had on average like 4 satsangs, 4 questions and answer sessions, no? Or like 3-4, and then some three bhajan singings.
Yeah. Then at the end there was the monthly satsang. So on let's say on Saturday, people would be arriving at the ashram some people came from Delhi, some people came from Mumbai, and of course most of the people came from that area.
Yes, this I remember we mentioned once in the previous episodes when the Americans arrived later, no? I don't remember in which episode now, that usually the retreat ended with this monthly satsang, which was like a big celebration, so many people, and like a very cathartic something like a...
Yes, there will be some, let's say, 1,000 people more or less.
Wow, that's already quite a crowd.
Quite a crowd, yes.
That's a real big crowd there. Wow. And to give food to all these people.
Yes, they were cooking for all the people, breakfast. If they came on Saturday, of course, they got dinner also, then breakfast in the morning, then lunch, and then usually in the afternoon people will be leaving, because most of them were farmers of the area.
So they had to go.
Yes, some people came with cars, some people came with buses, some people came with chart pulled by camels.
Oh, wow.
There was all possible kind of people.
But it's beautiful that people are coming for satsang.
Yes, it was like... like in biblical times, really.
Yeah, or like...
desert of Thar desert of Rajasthan, and all these people coming with camels and cars.
Yeah,
and
like the stories of the 1001 Nights.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like a very charming, something like... really like the cherry on top of the cake. And 2 things came into my mind that just as in the beginning you mentioned a little bit how our programs are and how it was at Sant Ji, and came into my mind just to mention that there are some, basically we do the same, we meditate together, but of course a basic difference that you are always present at every meeting, except now we introduced some other programs which satsangis do among themselves now, which I think is a very nice addition what we do during our programs, that also as you mentioned that in Sant Ji's time, in his ashram from 8 to 11 there was like free time, like breakfast and free time, and it was very similar here as well, and that's why to avoid this kind of just walking around and chatting, which is also very nice, but
depends on what you chat about.
Yes, but when people are together, then topics come, and then just to how to say, because times were different, I think, before, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everything was always the same under the sun, and but now that people come here for the retreat, that in our everyday life we are so bombed by the digital inputs and everything, and so many things that. We thought not to intensify the retreat and leave less free time. That's also a free time, because that's to make it more intense, in the sense like we have a bhajan learning session together. When we learn the bhajans together, we sit satsangis together, and those who can sing well the songs, and they teach some songs during the week, repeating all those songs so that the others, they can learn them, practice them to sing better. And I think that's a very nice quality time spent together. And then also we do some yoga in order to be able to sit better together in meditation, and still that there is always some sharing like this during this time. So this is a basic difference. And then another difference that in the evening, then it's you to give concert to the people. So it's not you to listen to the people, but the people can listen to you, so that they can sing to a really good singer. And sometimes you are very kind to some satsangis who can join you to accompany you with a musical instrument at their best, or maybe some vocals.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's not quite the same. It's a bit different, our program, yes. it's let's say there is less chance to misuse time.
Yes, but also then I think it's more valuable in the sense that you go for a retreat because you want to go for a retreat. And because if you want to chat with the people, now we have all the social media, all the chat platforms, and you can keep touch with anybody in a billion ways, unlimited. And then there was another thing which I wanted to ask you, the master, that you mentioned, that you said that up to 1989 or 1990 when these programs were interrupted. So what does it mean that the programs were interrupted this way as you described them?
So it happened that on the very last program I mean the Westerners were there and I was there in the program. Somehow whenever something important happened I was there, and also on that occasion I was there. So some how to call them intelligence agents.
The immigrant office people, maybe you mean? These are
I would say some intelligence
agents
came. Anyway, kind of police. They came to check what was happening at the ashram, because this was actually it was not an ashram. That's the point, you know. In the true sense of the word, I mean, because an ashram it's a place where there is a society, an association that creates, let's say, legal association according to the law of the state, and declares in these in their laws that they are going to do this and this and this. That's the program. But Sant Ji never did anything like this. He never created an association, a society like Masekepala, the Rouhani Satsang Society or the Manav Kendra Society. Sant Ji never created anything like that. And the ashram actually was not, let's say, consequently property of a society or an association. It was a personal property. Before it was Sant Ji's property, and then already at the time when these agents came, it was this property was transferred to Gurmel and his wife, already legally, you know, transferred. So it wasn't even Sant Ji's property anymore, and.
So they were questioning what are these Westerners doing
So this
here?
is your private home and you have all these people here. It's not an ashram in the true sense of the word. And moreover, there were problems also because this area is very near to the border with Pakistan.
Yes.
And you know, there are always tensions between Indians. India and Pakistan.
Yes, even now when one applies for the visa, then they ask you such questions that, have you ever been to Pakistan? Did you have, I'm exaggerating now, probably that like, did you ever talk to somebody who is from Pakistan? Did you ever go there? Do you think to like them? Do you think to... But there were some questions that like, if you agree with, I don't know what things. And so I mean that you need even now you need a special permission to
go to that area. Yes, you have to go to an office which is only in New Delhi, and you have to apply for a permission to go visit that area. Otherwise, you can't visit.
Yes,
you can't stay in that area.
Yes, the point is that you can't apply for this permission online. Even now, that when we went to India, then it was not possible to apply online. You have to go to the embassy or to New Delhi. They want to see you. Who are you, and why are you going there?
Yes. So anyway, because of these reasons, Sant Ji decided to interrupt these programs, because I think he was told that he wasn't allowed to keep having these programs with these many people coming from the West. Because, as I said, it was not an ashram, it was a personal property of somebody. Sant Ji didn't have a society of that kind registered. So from then on, we had programs in Indian cities, which would be Mumbai, sometimes Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad and Ahmedabad.
Mm-hmm.
Hyderabad is in South India, Bangalore is in South India, Ahmedabad is in Gujarat, which is south of Rajasthan, between Rajasthan and Mumbai,
Mm-hmm.
and Delhi, of course. So that's how I went from the point on. And in these programs, there will be always a few thousand people.
Oh, wow.
Because there will be some, let's say, at least 100 people coming from the West, and there will be Indians coming from Delhi, from other cities also, other towns, and the local people also, of course.
Mm-hmm. But there is also another thing which you mentioned to me these days in a spontaneous way, and I think it would be interesting to share with the listeners that how the groups were that Sant Ji had every 20 days he had a group, or how it was?
Yeah, during these many years in which from 1976 to 1989 or 90, there were 7 groups going, starting, as I said, from September up to April. So there will be a group going in the beginning for 10 days, then there will be 20 days free, and then another group will come, and for 10 days you had this group there. So it was very busy with these groups, really. Now I wonder, if we had here every month a group like that coming, it would be very demanding.
Yes.
Yes, and so that's how it was for him. It was very demanding. So I think eventually when he decided to stop these groups, for him was quite a relief, because he had grown older. He had become quite... he was not like in the beginning. In the beginning he was a very energetic man. But at that point he had developed some kind of sickness. His body was weak and he didn't have all the energy that he had in the beginning.
Well, but probably then he didn't want to disappoint people by interrupting the programs before, no? Or like make them less, because then the number of the people was growing, and then people would have been disappointed. And also, as you said, he was a man who said that once you take up a decision, then stick to it.
Yes, but that at that point the decision was to stop the groups.
Yeah,
so he stopped the groups.
Then he was also had because maybe it was, as you say, too much for him.
Then at the end, Papu built some kind of a hotel on the way from Delhi to Rajasthan, let's say maybe some 50-70 miles out of Delhi, going towards Rajasthan. So we had programs there. Sampla, that was called Sampla. And
but it was not an ashram, but
no, it was a hotel.
Hotel, like
property of Papu.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so we had this program there. I think at the point became 4 programs every year. Plus, of course, going to Bombay, to the other cities which I mentioned before.
But still, it's quite a busy schedule, because if he gave 4 programs at that place, plus in the cities, and
it was a week.
He was also...
It was a week in Sampla.
I see. Well, then it's 4 weeks, a year.
Yes.
But then he also went abroad, so still he was...
And then he was, every year more or less, he was going to Europe. Usually he would go to Europe and North America. Sometimes he went to South America, to Colombia, Mexico, Venezuela. There was a big Sangat in Colombia. There was quite a big Sangat in Venezuela. And in Mexico, not as big. In North America, there would be like 1,500 people attending his programs. In Colombia, there would be up to 4,000 or 5,000 people.
Oh, that's remarkable.
Yes. In Venezuela, there would be 1,500 people.
And you mentioned in the beginning this doctor who had this revelation that a man has been born.
Dr. Molina. Yes, he was from Colombia.
From Colombia. Maybe that's why also, because...
Yeah, and anyway, in South America, people are very, very, very much seekers of truth, you know. We don't know much about South America, but there is much more of a spiritual hunger in South America than there is in Europe and even in North America.
Interesting. Maybe we are more rational here, which is good and bad at the same time, probably.
Anyway, that's how it is. So anyway, to end this podcast, I would like to read something which I wrote in my diary on the 25th October 1987. So this is, when we arrive at the ashram, usually Sant Ji, we came most of the time all together. Just with one bus, but as I said, at some point the group became too big, so there would be maybe two buses, one a bigger bus and one a smaller bus going. So on this occasion there was a bus which arrived an hour before than the bus I was in myself, and Sant Ji would be there in the courtyard waiting for us arriving, and so he had been there with this group from the previous bus for an hour more or less, because we arrived an hour later. So I'm going to read what was my impression on that occasion. So we arrived at the ashram. Sant Ji was there sitting together with the members of the other bus, which arrived an hour before. By seeing him, when seeing him, it was so beautiful as always, especially to see him in good shape. He seemed to be much more in good shape, in good form than the previous year. Sometimes we would go to the ashram and he would be sick, and in one occasion he couldn't even really follow the program and go and be with us because he was sick. Today it has been and this is the following day, right? Today it has been a very beautiful, particularly beautiful day for several reasons. Sadhguru Power has not overwhelmed him with this incredible energy since the beginning, the way it happens sometimes. This time I've been feeling like a gradual injection of light penetrating me. Gradually, this injection of light, of divine light, it has penetrated in me. And before lunch, the meditation, it has been a continuous perception of the divine essence. I felt like the whole ashram was like a sponge saturated with the divine power, that in this place it permeates everything. Then Darshan before lunch, it has been fantastic. Seeing him from so close, seeing that he looks at you and he makes a sign with his head, it is something worth anything in this world for me. And when he went away, his face continued to remain in my mind, in my inner self. Therefore, I felt such an incredible love for him. I've been thinking a bit about the difference that there is in meditation, when meditating at his presence and when we meditate far away from him. Even if you meditate for several hours, like on a retreat, for instance. I mean, a retreat without the master. Well, here it is something else. Here it comes, it catches you by your intestines It penetrates in the bone marrow, and then it uplifts all your being. At least that's how it was for me. While that done at home, it gives you a superficial color, more or less deep. I came to my mind this similitude. Let's suppose that you have a car with a broken outer part, in bad condition, full of rust. You can take it to the mechanic and ask to settle it. This may be done in several ways. You can give just some varnish on it. After settling a bit the worst parts, this kind of reparation will last for a certain time, but very soon the rust will come out again. But if you the worst part are taken away and changed, and the rest is well cleaned, and then you put a layer of something on top, and eventually you give 2-3 times the varnish, then you're sure that this will last for long. Well, exactly this is the difference. Here, the Master penetrates in your blood. He removes all the rusty parts of your consciousness. He puts you in a new shape and makes you shine with all his light.
Well, this sounds very beautiful. But I think it was not the same maybe for everyone, because also, as you said in the previous episode, that what does it mean to have a deep affinity to the Master? No? Also, as much as we connect to the Master, as much as we succeed to concentrate on him, concentrate on the teachings, bring it deeply to the bottom of our psyche, our mind, as you say, that penetrating the blood down to the bone marrow, and one has to have affinity and openness for this.
Well, one has to be tuned in with the Master power in a very profound way, which either is there or is not there. It's not something that you can figure out that I would like this to be like this. No, it doesn't work like that. It just happens if it happens. If it doesn't happen, means that you, as gunpowder, you're not dry enough.
Yes.
So you have to expose yourself to Satsang, Darshan, bhajan singing, meditation for many, many years, and then eventually, by and by, you become a dry gunpowder and you explode. But for me, luckily, and I'm always grateful to God for having had this very good luck, for me it was a sudden explosion. It was a sudden explosion with Master Kirpal, and it was a sudden explosion with Sant Ji. The perception I had of his incredible energy, it was just fantastic, really extraordinary, and it made my spiritual life so easy and so blessed, effective and successful. So I am so very grateful to God for giving me the chance to meet this person with whom I had this very deep, profound spiritual connection, which made things so easy for me and so effective. That's it.
Well, but I'm sure that even for those who didn't have this kind of very powerful connection, still it was a very special time to spend with him and very beneficial, even if they were not aware as much as you were.
Definitely, because that's why people kept going year after year. You know, there would be people that, I met in the very beginning and maybe not every year. But again and again, I met them in India in these groups. So that means that they were so benefited, and they believe, their Western civilized world from America or Europe or Australia or from where? South America, as I said.
Africa.
South Africa, some people from Ghana, some people, and so leave their Western civilized world and go to this remote village of Thar desert of Rajasthan, in this very, let's say, primitive, settled setting, and spend a week or 10 days there with this holy man. That's how it was.
Well, thank you very much, dear Master, for describing all these details to us, because you made, as we said, that it was like maybe like the tales of the 1001 Nights, but you made this alive for us, because these are details which one cannot know if wasn't there. And as you tell about it, as you describe it, that it really comes alive. Like one is there in the group and seeing Sant Ji going and people running after him, always like floating around him like moths buzz around the light.
Like human waves, Zoom. Whenever Sant Ji was, it was zoom.
And people are running and
like those birds which you see in the sky sometimes together.
I was just thinking the same.
Giving this, creating these wonderful shapes and forms in the sky, So that's how
the birds of the autumn. I think before they set on their way.
Yes, to move Africa-wards, yes.
But it's like magic to watch them, and I was just thinking the same about these birds. So thank you very much, dear Master. And next episode comes after 2 weeks, and as I always mention, those who would like to try, those who know already, they know it, that there is the Daily Guidance Meditation Podcast where you can enjoy a new episode daily, and those who don't know yet, you can find it and enjoy this meditation talk daily, so you can try meditation experience, to have your first-hand experience listening to the voice of Master Sirio. And then what else? Then you can download in PDF form the Sirius magazine from the SirioSatsang.com website, and if you would like to have it, it's possible to have it in paperback version, but you have to email me for this at the siriopodcast@gmail.com. And if you have any questions, then you're most welcome to send it, or anything to tell me. And so now we are getting near to the end of this season, so if you had any questions in your mind, it's high time to send them to me at the Sirio Podcast, to the siriopodcast@gmail.com. So thank you very much for listening. May God bless you all. Thank you, Master.
You're welcome.
And then let's enjoy the beautiful mantra sang by Master Sirio.
Hazur Maharaj Sant Ji, you're my Sadgurus, I bow down to you. Hazur Maharaj Sant Ji, you're my Sadgurus, I love you. Hazur Maharaj Sant Ji,